this may sound kind of funny, but I've lately been calling myself like the utility player of the track team because my freshman year I was kind of in and out of an injury. Then sophomore year, Coach Ingold had me try to do like more distance, like 800 kind of stuff. And then this past year, I trained for the pentathlon. And then this year, I'm training for 400 hurdles. And so I came in as just a middle distance, like 400, 600, maybe 800 runner. And then over the years, I've just had the opportunity to try a bunch of new things, and we'll see how 400 hurdles goes this year. But yeah, I'm kind of all over the place.
Are you impressed by what you've been able to do? Like you said, you call yourself the utility player because, I mean, you have kind of jumped around, it seemed like. Are you kind of impressed by how many different opportunities you've gotten so far?
I am, yeah. Because it's one of those things where I'm sure you've heard it before that like you're pretty good in high school and then you get to college and everything's just at a whole other level. And so like I came in thinking I'd be still a good 400 runner, be on the 4x4. And while that worked for a couple years, like slowly it just, as we got more talent on the team, Ingold was just letting me see where I might fit in other places also. And so it's been fun. I love being able to try all these new different things. I'm actually really excited to try 400 hurdles. So hopefully we have the season so I can actually compete in that. But yeah, it's been awesome to just be able to have a bunch of different opportunities in this one same sport.
Trying to make sure my timeline's right. Are you one of the original ones they brought in for the track team? Okay.
Yep.
So we'll go there then.
Oh boy.
What more along the lines of what made you believe in joining a startup track program that hadn't been there before?
I just liked the idea of all of the little firsts. The motto coming in our freshman year was be first, and I liked the idea of setting all of the little records, even if it's only for a couple years. Just being part of like the first, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but just all of the little things, like the 4x4 records, you'd set a new one like every meet, freshman and sophomore year. So it was always just exciting to keep pushing yourself and seeing where that would go. And I knew that's how it was going to be going, like coming on my visit here. That's what the coaches really emphasized. And it was just an exciting thought to be able to be part of the firsts.
We don't want to get into the whys here or anything. You guys have went through a couple different coaches and everything through this. You've stuck through it, and sometimes athletes don't, whatever it may be. It just kind of depends on the coaches too. What's been the big reason for you to kind of stay moving forward and stay with the team?
Honestly, the people. I have made a couple just really, really close friends on the team. And I really couldn't imagine like running track or honestly just going through college without them probably. And I don't know. I also just really liked Missouri Western in general I'm a journalism major. And so with it being such a small school and in this major, I've been able to have a lot of good like leadership opportunities and that kind of stuff. So just all of the educational opportunities and the people that have stuck it out since day one on this track team are really the reasons why.
Looking at the last 6 months, how would you describe what it's been like for you?
The last 6 months. Well, I was actually, sometimes I have a love-hate relationship with running, I'm not going to lie. But this year I was actually very, very much looking forward to our outdoor season because I was actually going to try 400 hurdles this past outdoor season also. And so I was really excited for that. And then obviously we went home for spring break. I was still training, doing the workouts that Ingold had sent us. And then to get an extended spring break, so like, okay, well, I'll keep running. And then find out that everything's been canceled. It was just pretty big letdown. And I was kind of sitting there thinking like, well, now I'm not gonna be able to compete until like January at the soonest. So like, what do I do for the next almost entire year? And sometimes I had to kick my own butt to go out and actually exercise and get in a run. But I don't know. I'm just hopeful that this spring season actually happens.
You talk about having to find that motivation to kind of continue working through, the 6 months of, are we going back to school or are we going back? What did you maybe learn about yourself during this? Because talking to a lot of, athletes, coaches, like they either got closer or they've learned something new about themselves just because dealing with a pandemic is something we've never had to do. What do you think you've maybe learned through all this?
Good question. um, I have just, in like a broad sense, I have learned that I seriously just love like all of the little joys, whether that be in running or other aspects of my life. I live in Southwest Missouri, and so like the running trails are like the one I always go on is right by a river. It's always shaded. It's really pretty, lots of nature, like that kind of stuff. And so I would actually find myself looking forward to just going on little jogs around town because I was pushing myself and still getting my workout in, but also just the little things that you can kind of take notice when you actually just slow down and just run because you want to. I don't know if that really makes any sense, but
No, it makes perfect sense actually, because I was kind of going to go there next. How much did this maybe slow down your life in a good way? I know we're all living 24/7, going 100 miles an hour technology and moving. I mean, for you being a student athlete, going to school, everything's going 100 miles an hour. Was this maybe almost, I don't want to say a gift because it wasn't, but a blessing in disguise to kind of be able to maybe just sit back and kind of look at things maybe a little bit more than you would have in a normal spring?
oh yeah, 100%. I've said that before actually, that like for me personally, COVID might have been, for lack of a better term, a blessing in disguise. Like I know it's real. I've known people that have been affected by it. But for me personally, just being able to go back home and really, just like you said, slow down and relax was awesome. I'm a total homebody also. So, like the stay at home orders, I was totally okay with. Um, I like work at a greenhouse back home over the summer. And so I kind of became a little plant nerd for a little bit. And just since because I said I was from Southwest Missouri, but so I live 4 hours away from here, and sometimes it can be a little like daunting knowing that my closest relative is 4 hours away when I'm up here at school, and so even just those couple extra months of being able to spend time at home, even if we weren't really doing much, but it was great to just be back home for those extra months for sure.
Kind of changing topics a little bit, but journalism major and everything. Um, I'd probably be mistaken not to ask. How has this been from that aspect of how you've looked at your career and everything from what has transpired in 6 months? Whether I don't know if your field's more news, sports, everything in between, but a lot of things maybe have changed in the profession in these 6 months, and a lot of things have happened. I guess,
Mhm.
what's your outlook on what you've seen just from the journalism side of it?
I think the world needs some good journalists right now. Pretty much is what I'm thinking. And it's made me, I've never really been too interested in news and like straight news journalism, that kind of stuff. I've always, initially, I wanted to do sports, and found out that I love doing like features and lifestyles also. So I'm somewhere in that range. But this has made me not really want to do news at all with everything going on. But it really does make me kind of take my major and my future career a little more seriously, because you see the jobs that these people have to go out and do and the stories they have to cover. And so journalism is a big deal. And sometimes you kind of forget that.
You talk about the lifestyle and combining it with sports and stuff. What's your favorite part of a story that you're doing?
My favorite part of a story that I'm doing,
Like putting it together. What's your favorite part of it?
I like being able to tell people's stories in like a creative way, I guess. This may sound cliche, but like I love being able to find stories that people really don't know about. Like I wrote a story one time on 3 golfers from Missouri Western who are all from Albuquerque. And that's something that most people I feel like wouldn't know, but once you actually look into it and see these like random little differences and connections and all that, it's really fun to be able to put everything together into a story that makes people go like, oh, I didn't realize that. And I don't know, I just like putting it together and putting it out there and making it sound good.
And a couple more questions for you, but what's the dream aspiration journalism wise for you? Or do you have one at this point, or just kind of waiting to see?
I'm still kind of going back and forth a little bit between the sports road or like the more of a magazine writing road, I guess, right now. Um, but I think an aspiration would be to probably work for like a magazine or a feature company. And I don't know. Honestly, I'm still kind of like in between, but I know that I want to do features and profiles and that kind of stuff. I'm just a little unsure if that will be sports or not, but I know 100% that's what I want to do.
I'll get you out of here on these final couple questions. Once the winter season gets here, everything's intact for now. It looks like we may be moving forward with everything too. Is it going to feel different just being able to be back there? I know the cliche right now is don't take anything for granted, but maybe we were taking every season for granted, and we were just like, well, this team will have a chance next year. This team's going to be fine next year. They can build toward this. But after what we've seen, there's not always that opportunity. So I guess, is there a different outlook going into this year, maybe a little bit more?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a different outlook going into this year. And I feel like it was always going to be that way for me, with this being my senior and final year. Every meet would mean a little bit more than it has in the past, but especially after just losing our outdoor season, like now I'm super hopeful that there is actually going to be an outdoor season this year, and hopefully an indoor season also. So I feel like it'll honestly maybe be a little weird when we first step up to the line at those first couple meets, just because it has been probably at least a year. Whenever it does happen, so it will probably feel a little weird, but I think myself and probably everyone else on the team could say that it's going to be a good weird. It's going to be a good feeling to get back out there and finally do it.
You've been a part of a lot of firsts for Missouri Western. This will be the first season after a pandemic, which sounds weird to say, but how do you feel like your role as a senior is going to be for freshmen, underclassmen? Because, yeah, we're going through all this together, but at the same time, seniors are the ones that are looked to. In any situation, I guess even at a time like this where you guys don't have the answers, but everybody's still looking at you guys like, you're the seniors. Can you help us? I mean, you kind of feel that way, that there's kind of like you're supposed to still guide a lot of the underclassmen or help them too?
A little bit, yeah. I will admit that I myself am not much of a vocal leader, but I believe that one of the biggest things you can do is lead by example, and I like to think that I do that at least decently well. And just kind of in this season of all of the unknowns, being able to still go out and do a workout with 100% effort, even when we don't know when our first meet will be, even though it's September and we're doing all the hard workouts right now. Still being able to go out and push and get through those and just not give up and not lose focus. I think that's an important thing to remember. And if the freshmen can see that through me, or the underclassmen can see that through me even just a little bit, then I think that I've contributed to the team for sure.